How you doing, folks? Jennifer McCreath here. It is Wednesday night, August 29th, 2012. This is a video blog reacting to an article by xtra.ca today discussing a donation that was made by National Post to Egale, Canada about a year ago. For those of you that are not familiar with the story, I'll try to do my best to give you the background. National Post is a newspaper, and they ran a advertisement that was transphobic, shall we say. One of these so-called family values organization that seems to have no respect for anything to do with gay, lesbian, bi, trans issues. Anyway, the National Post ran this ad and got paid, I guess, $45,000. And there was outcry, not just from the trans community, but from the trans ally community as well. And I guess enough of a stink was raised that the National Post felt they better do something about this so that they could be perceived to be remorseful. So interestingly enough, they made a donation to Egale, Canada, best known for lesbian and gay human rights advocacy work. An organization that's also self-proclaimed themselves to be LGBT and T. I believe their website says, quote, "We are Canada's LGBT human rights organization," unquote. As if they are the one and only one. As if they have earned this label. Not so fast. A lot of folks in the trans community don't agree with that. And I guess I'll say, where was Extra back then when this donation was made? I don't know what Extra's scope, if they're gay, lesbian, or if they're LGBT. I know there's been discussions in the past about whether or not trans news should fit into Extra's scope of journalism, but bottom line, that they didn't see this newsworthy. I raised an issue back then. Why are you giving trans money to a gay organization? I wrote the National Post, and they did not respond, which proves to me, I guess, two things. One, they don't respect me or who I am, and two, they don't really give a damn. Are they really remorseful? Probably not. They just want to be perceived as being remorseful. I guess they figured a donation to a gay lesbian organization would satisfy most people. Now all of a sudden there seems to be an issue because other gay lesbian organizations feel they deserve a piece of this pot. Only now is it a news story because Egale, Canada is neglecting to disclose publicly the amount of money they received by National Post. First of all, Egale, Canada, it's a private business. Non-profit, charity or not, it's still a private business. They have every right to keep their donation amounts private. As far as these other LGBT or just LGB organizations, I guess we can throw you folks in with the trans organizations. Why did Egale get this money and not you and not me? Well, we got to look in the mirror. A colleague of mine out in Saskatchewan, Michaela, had poked me with this story. It says, "Jennifer, why are we still letting gay organizations speak for the trans community?" Quite frankly, because we let them, and because they can do whatever the heck they seem to want, and nobody will stand up to them. Gay versus trans. I've talked about this many times for 5 years to the point where I've had enough of it. Apples and oranges. Baseball and basketball. Could go on and on and on. Just because you're good at one sport doesn't mean you're good at another sport. Just because the rest of the world thinks you're the same doesn't mean you are. What we do know is that the gay lesbians outnumber the trans about 1,000 to 1. And that's power. That also means that the heterosexual cis community outnumbers the trans community about 15,000 to 1. Yeah. First and foremost, trans community, if you want to speak for yourselves, you got to define yourselves with definitions. You've got to organize yourselves as an organization. And you got to come up with a game plan. You got to have a mandate. You got to have scope of work. You got to have policies. You got to have procedures. If you don't know who you are, you don't know what you stand for. If you don't know what you stand for, you can't accomplish business. Sound reasonable, folks? This has nothing to do with being gay, lesbian, bi, or trans. It has everything to do with understanding business development and marketing and communications. I spent 5 years trying to rally the trans troops because I felt that the gay lesbian community was not doing a good job speaking for me or making decisions for me or acting for me. Um, who invented the LGBT acronym? Who threw the T in with the LG and Bs? It was definitely not the T's, I can tell you that, folks. To make things even more interesting, I talked about perception versus reality. If you're an LG organization that wants to be seen as taking on trans work, do you really want to take it on, or you just want to be perceived as taking it on? I hear a lot of yapping about human rights, but I don't see a lot of action towards the core issues, such as making sex reassignment surgery more accessible to those who need it. I knocked on the doors of a lot of gay lesbian organizations when I was going through my challenges with the healthcare system, human rights challenges, and they didn't seem too interested in helping or providing legal resources. Trans community, the National Post, as far as they're concerned, we're all the same. And I think the biggest issue we have to deal with is this T umbrella. Surgical transsexuals and non-surgical transgender are two very different groups of individuals who are fighting literally for opposite rights. One is fighting for the rights to have surgery recognized as medically necessary and to have that surgery provided. The other group is fighting for the right not to have the surgery. So for all of you T umbrella folks who just want to throw everybody into the same pot, it's kind of like saying baseball and basketball are the same thing because they're both sports and they're both played with a ball. Might as well say we don't really need three political parties because they're all the same. So for all you T umbrella folks within the T community, I think you are the problem. We need to recognize that there's two distinct issues here, and we need to organize distinct, separate core organizations that will undertake both initiatives. They can happen concurrently, but not together necessarily. Sex and gender, I got 200 videos on YouTube. I bet 190 of them talk about the difference between sex and gender. Yeah. You want action? Stand up to the plate. Organize yourselves. I'm done. I've made it quite clear. I've spent 5 years trying to rally the trans groups, specifically to organize transsexual advocacy. I failed. I got more kickback and fight back from obviously the LGB community and even within the T community. Like it or not, Egale Canada has a perception that they're the one and only. As long as that perception is out there, they're going to be the ones getting these type of donations. If you don't like it, do something about it. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great evening.